In this section, we're going to make sure that our icons show up larger than they currently are, and we're also going to add in a little bit of CSS to make sure that this page looks way better than it currently does. So to get started, I'm going to first go back to the semantic UI documentation on icons very quickly. I'm going to go up to the very top of the page. And then once here, I'll go over to the definition section again. That tells us how to make use of these icons. I'll then scroll down a little bit, and down here you can see that we can alternate or vary the size of these icons. To do so, all we have to do is add on another class name. So I think we probably want a really big icon, so we'll use an icon or a class name of massive. So that means back over here, on our two I tags, I'll put on massive, lowercase massive, and massive like so. Now I can save this, flip back over again, and that's much better. Okay, so that's pretty much it for some of the class names that we're going to put in here. All the styling that we're going to do from now on is going to be some CSS that you and I put together ourselves. So we're going to first create a CSS file, and then we'll write in some styling to that thing that's going to customize these icons. Maybe we'll customize the background and some other elements on this page as well. So let's get to it. All right, so I'm going to find my src directory, and inside of here, I'm going to create a new CSS file. I'm going to give it a name of seasondisplay.css. That's going to indicate to anyone else looking at my project that the CSS or the styling inside this file is meant to only modify the component seasonDisplay. Then inside of here, I can write all the different CSS that I want. Let's first add a couple more class names to our stuff over here, some of the different elements over here, so we can select the appropriate elements and style them appropriately. So first, I'm going to find my icon right here. I'm going to put on an additional class name to it of icon left. We're going to use that class name right there to select this particular icon and make sure that it gets positioned up here at the top left hand of the page, and we'll add a class name to the other icon and make sure that it gets positioned at the bottom right. So on the other icon, I'll put on a class name of icon right, like so. All right, so now I'm going to save this file. I'll go over to seasondisplay.css, and inside of here, I'll put on some styling for icon-left and some styling for icon-right. Now for the left one, I'm going to give it a position of absolute, and I'll give it a top of 10 pixels and a left of 10 pixels. That essentially means that it's going to just position itself to the top left-hand side of the screen. And then for icon right, I'll also do a position of absolute, and a bottom, this time, of 10 pix, and a right of 10 pix. So that means I want the right-hand icon to place itself 10 pixels away from the bottom edge of the browser, and 10 pixels away from the right-hand edge of the browser. Now I'm going to save this, and the last thing we have to do is make sure that this CSS file gets linked up to our project. By default, a Create React App project is not going to automatically scan over all the CSS files in your project and somehow automatically include them for you. That's not how it works. You and I have to instead manually make sure that we somehow link up this very specific CSS file to somewhere inside of our project. So to do so, I'll go back over to my seasondisplay.js file, and at the very top, before the input React statement, I'm going to add in import seasondisplay.css like so. So we are now going to import a CSS file into our project. Now, when we import a CSS file into a JavaScript file, that doesn't mean that we're going to literally take all this CSS right here and paste it in like so. That's not what actually happens. What's really going on behind the scenes is Webpack, which is an open source dependency inside of our project right now that essentially takes all these different files and joins them together, is going to see that we are importing a CSS file. It's going to take the contents out of there and then stick it into the index.html file over here. Okay, so let's now save this, and then we should see our updated CSS inside the browser. Perfect. So now we've got our icon up here on the top left and the other icon over here on the bottom right. Now, still a little bit more styling to do. Let's stay with it. No need to take a break now. All right, back inside my season display, I'm going to find my div right here, and I'm going to add on a class name that's going to contain season display as the class name, and I also want to mark the season that it is, either summer or winter. We can then use that class to decide whether we want to style everything on this page to be like a blue to indicate summer, or excuse me, a blue to indicate winter, or kind of like a more orange or red to indicate summer. So I'm going to put a class name in here as well. I want to kind of craft or put an expression in here to indicate my class. So I'm going to use a similar approach that I did down here. I'm going to say curly braces, and then I'll use that ES 2015 template string. I'll give it a class name of season display, and then I'll put in my actual season. Now, you'll notice here that I put a class name on the root div of this component that kind of matches the component name. This is actually a pattern that I do in just about every professional project I work on. I always make sure that the root element inside the component has a class name equal to the kind of CSS version, the class name version of the component name. That just makes it a lot easier for me to apply CSS in the future because I know that my season display component is always going to have a class name of season display. Boy, I'm saying that word quite a bit right now. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and we'll go back over to our CSS file, and we're going to add a little bit more styling. The first thing I want to do for styling is somehow get that text to appear on the very center of the screen. To do so, I'm going to add a rule inside of here of season, or selector of season display. I'm going to give it a display of flex, a justify dash content of center, and align items of center, and a height of 100 VH like so. So those rules right there are going to make sure that the text is going to appear on the very center of the screen. Let's save this, and we can do a quick check. Yep, looks like it's showing up correctly. Let's do a little bit more here. I think the next thing that would be kind of nice if we had a good background on the page to indicate whether it was winter or summer. Remember that on this div right here that is now spanning the entire height of the page, we put in a class name of season, and season is always going to be either the string summer or winter. So back over inside the CSS file, I could add a selector of winter and say background dash color of Alice blue, and a summer of background color orange, like so. Okay, so let's now try this out. If I flip back over, yeah, now we've got that nice background. Kind of feels, I don't know, kind of cold, somewhat wintry. So this is looking good, just a little bit more, almost done here. So I think the next thing that would be nice is if we change the color of those icons, depending upon whether or not it was summer or winter. Remember, I think in the original mockup, we showed those icicles as blue and the suns as orange. So let's do the same thing here as well. Right underneath the two icon rules that I already have, I'll do a season display, and then I'll select the I inside there. And then we also, one thing I forgot on here, we need to make sure that we select either winter or summer. So I'll do .winter like so. So we're going to find an element that has the class name season display and winter, and then we'll find some child element of it that is an icon. And once we find that icon, I'll then set a color of blue. And we'll also take care of the summer case as well. I'll do a season-display.summer icon, and I'll do an icon, or excuse me, a color of red. All right, I know we're going through the CSS kind of quickly here, but remember the entire goal of this course is really React and JavaScript, and I'm kind of assuming that you understand some of the basics of CSS. So I hope I'm not going too crazy quickly or anything like that. All right, so let's now save this file. And if I go back over, yep, icicles or icons are now a nice blue. Now I'm going to really quickly flip out to a southern hemisphere, and then I'll refresh the page. And now I see the appropriate orange background, red icon, and it says, let's hit the beach. Awesome. So I think that this is working out pretty darn well. Now we could probably change some more styling inside of here, maybe make the header in the middle a little bit larger, but I think that you'll agree with me that we basically met the goal of the original application. So this is looking pretty good, but there's still one or two little things I want to fix up inside this app. So let's take a quick pause. When we come back to the next section, we're going to make one or two last little changes.